Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw. Okay. Now, is this your photograph? It's a panoramic shot of. So, is this of the prairies that you mentioned earlier?
It is.
Big sky.
Yep. This is
Just amazing.
But it's not the part of Saskatchewan where I grew up. Where I grew up, everything is flat. I mean, here, as you can see in this photograph,
slight rolling hills.
Yeah. But it's about a 2.5 hour drive from where I grew up. And it's an area that's known as the Big Muddy.
Okay.
And there's not really farming there. There's mostly ranching. It's famous in history, this part of Saskatchewan, because it's where outlaws like Jesse James and, I don't know, Billy the Kid, when things got too hot for them, down in South Dakota and so on, they would come up, cross the border into what is now Canada. They would hide out here, and you can actually take a tour, and you can find these caves where these outlaws hid. It's really kind of neat. But I mean, the main thing is this is beautiful. I mean, this is like
There's something. Okay, so basically, the way it's shot is it's almost 50-50 of sky and land. The land is kind of this sort of brown grass. And it's very gentle rolling hills, very, very gentle. You can just make out a road, like a dirt road that's kind of snaking through this one part. The sky is this perfect blue, and it's got some slightly cumulus white clouds. It's very dramatic. It's very contrasty. It's probably shot late morning, or it's not quite high noon. Well, maybe high noon, because the clouds. The shadow is basically of a sun that's way above, just pretty much straight over the clouds. Yeah, it's a really great shot. So here's the question I'm asking myself, Mark. I think we were introduced by your publicist. Is that possible?
I think so. Yeah, Mickey.
Yeah. So So the question now I have to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a book, or do you have a record, or what are you publishing? What are you trying to promote? How can we get people to learn more about you?
I'm just happy to talk, but yeah, I guess the premise for this chat with you is I recently published a young adult dystopian novel set in northern Ontario called The Headmasters.
And, Mark, you buried the lead. What are you doing? What have you done?
I mean, the dogs again, just barking for a sec.
It's all good. It's all good. Wait. If I may help you, what is the name of your book that we would like people to get?
It's called.
Whoa! Hype up.
It's called The Headmasters, and the premise. It's actually got a lot to do with memory. The premise is these creatures appear and become attached to the back of humans and insert sort of coils into their brains. And so for about 18 hours a day, they have control of humans, but 6 hours a day, they don't. And the headmasters have been around for about 60 years. And every time, one human dies, that headmaster gets passed on to a new human. And I guess by accident or something, or it's not intended, the memories from that first host also get passed on to the next host.
Right.
And so there's like this accumulation of memories that happens. So yeah, the novel is about memory, and it's about a young female protagonist. She's 12 when the novel begins and about 20 when it ends, and her struggle to overcome these creatures by drawing upon some memories that she's acquiring. Yeah.
That's so fascinating. So is this your first book, first novel? Not your first book, because but is this your first novel?
Yes, my first novel. But yeah, I wrote.
Congratulations.
4 books of nonfiction before. Yeah, it felt really good. I mean, I've written another novel since then. I've completed one, but I haven't started sending it out to publishers or agents yet. And I've started a third one. And they're all, what I like is they're all quite different from each other.
Sure. Okay, first of all, what's great about your name is it's very memorable. Mark Morton. Mark Morton, easy to remember. Mark Morton, you wrote a book. Your novel is out.
I'll just tell you one other thing about my name. Sometimes people by accident or intentionally, they're emailing me or writing me a letter, and they will leave out the T in my last name. And it's an important T, as you can,
Okay.
because without the T, Dr. Moron. Um,
Yes.
that has happened.
I'm sure you've gotten some good mileage out of that one.
Yep, yep. But sorry, I
Uh,
interrupt.
okay. No, listen, man. We're just talking. We're just
Yeah,
talking. You got this. You got this novel out. You're clearly not a. So it's one thing to study 16th century
yeah,
literature,
hmm
and then to really dive deep into that
yeah,
for your PhD, and then to kind of say, okay, well, I'm going to go and do a different kind of writing, which is
hmm
going to be more of a novel.
yeah.
And why did your brain shift to go from nonfiction into fiction, into
Yeah,
creating new worlds?
two reasons. One was, having raised these four kids and reading lots of stories to them, and eventually reading with them lots of young adult fiction, and really getting
Hmm.
into that genre. And I think, in particular, the Hunger Games. I read that with the kids, and I thought, wow,
Yeah.
this is really really good. I wish I could write this. The other thing was that as one gets older, I'm pretty sure you're not there yet. I'm 60, turned 60
Okay.
2 months ago, and again,
Oh, well,
bringing it
happy
back to
birthday.
memory changes. I don't have the memory that I used to have. Like, to write the kinds of nonfiction books that I wrote required me to keep track of a lot of data and information in my head all at the same time. I can't
Hmm.
do that anymore. But on the
Mm.
other hand, I think it's kind of like an impressionist painting. When you're really close, you can see all the little dots, all the little pointillism stuff. But when you step back, you can see the bigger picture. And that's kind of what I feel like
Hmm.
has happened to me. I don't have that really retentive memory anymore, but my imagination and my ability to think of stories at a big level, I think, has improved.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
yeah, I think that's why I shifted to fiction. Yeah.
It's interesting to me that you see the task of my podcast, which is send me four photos that will frame the conversation. Great. And sometimes, like, even if, like, some people overthink it,
hmm
some people, and then what I usually say is, even if you don't know what to pick, just pick
hmm
whatever, because ultimately it's from your life and it's going to be a reflection of what's important
Yep.
to you. So in your case, I don't know what process you went to, and it's funny how your novel is almost like this. It's like this thing that was like where I was like, hey, can we can we put a spotlight on that? But okay, so first photo is of you with your
Yep.
four kids, and that opened an
hmm
incredible door. The second photo is of one of your
Yep.
four dogs and the connection to your
hmm
kids, another like amazing
hmm
door. Then there's the photo of the reflection showing, like, I think it, in a weird way, it it represents, or opened the door really to how you
hmm
see people, right? Like your
Yep.
interface on people, right? Like in terms of how you construct a person's identity more by voice
hmm
than by
hmm
sight,
hmm
perhaps. I don't know. And then the last photo is of the
hmm
sky, the big sky. But yeah, so how do we turn that sort of narrative into like, okay, as
hmm
an instructor,
hmm
right, as a teacher, how do we what do we give next? So one, I'm
Yep.
telling people to go get your book, but also in terms of your narrative, in terms of your little
Yep.
story right now, how do we kind of wrap it up so that a person goes like, ah, got it.
Well, again, I'll take two different approaches to this. One is, you
Please do.
described the sequence of four photographs that we looked at. And yet, I think also if we had looked at them in a different sequence, I suspect our conversation would have gone in different directions. And so I mean, that's one of the
Absolutely.
great things about conversations is how they can take different directions. In terms of, I don't know, sort of a through line or a, I don't know, moral of the story kind of thing. I guess to me, it's all about relationships, and that can be
Yep.
relationships with family members. With the last photograph of Saskatchewan, it's my relationship with that land, with that kind of topography. That's really important to me. I lived in Ontario for
Mm-hmm.
20 years, but I still miss the prairies so much. I miss that land that I grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
And with the more abstract one, the window reflection, the relationships between the different layers within the photograph, and then the one with the dog with Layla, yeah, it's that relationship with, I guess, the non-human. But I mean, I don't want to. That almost makes it sound like they are lesser, but relationship with different kinds of creatures.
Yeah.
And I mean, lots of people love cats. I like cats too, but to me, there's something about dogs that, as you were saying earlier, every dog is different, and the relationship one can establish with a dog, every dog is different.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I love about them. I mean, dogs are just pure. What you see is what you get, and we
Yeah.
learn a lot from them.
No, for sure. Okay, so Mark, the title of your book one more time, please. The Headmasters, available on your
Say
website.
headmasters, as in in British schools, they have a headmaster. Here, it's kind of not a pun, really, but
Yep.
because they are attached to people's heads.
This has been really great. It's always going to school with my guest, right? Like, okay,
Yep.
what am I gonna learn about this time? And first of all, respect, brother, fellow Canadian. This is great. I think that is something that is, as I said before, the
Hmm.
cadence of how you
Hmm.
speak, your accent, what you talk about, where your attention is,
I agree.
so very Canadian, and it's great. It's comforting. Any last bit of wisdom you'd like to hand over? For me, the one bit of wisdom is to go get your book. That's it.
Or not. If your listeners would rather go take photographs, do that. Do whatever is going to feel meaningful to you. I hope people read my book, but more than that, I hope people just find meaningful things to do in their lives. I want to say too, I've loved this conversation. This is exactly the kind of chat that I love to have. And if you're ever in this neck of the woods in Canada, let me know and we'll go for coffee or tea or something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, I've hitched through Kitchener, past Kitchener a bunch. Look, have a really great evening. You're a good, in the sense of good. Like you're a good man. You and
Thank
your
you.
wife are good people. Your families are
Thank you.
great
Means a lot.
family. And thank you so much for sharing.
I've really loved it. Okay. Thanks, Fran. Okay. Take care.
So, is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So, if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw.